are site visits one of the highest ROI activities before submitting a proposal?
It's because they affect so much. So first off, you're going to get an understanding of the scope of work, unlike anything that you could gauge through pictures, drawings, or reading through a statement of work. So as you can, imagine showing up somewhere in person, maybe if you're like house hunting and you're looking for a house, right? And you're on realtor.com or Zillow and you're looking at pictures of the house, it's very different, the pictures that you see, and often they're way better than when you pull up in the driveway and you're like, oh my gosh, what did we get ourselves into? So there's a big difference between reading about it and showing up in person. Also, this flows down to having better pricing because you're going to have more information, you're going to be more informed, you're going to price more accurately. And because of that, your plan or your approach, maybe you have a technical write-up, that's going to be adjusted too. So showing up in person kind of just makes you have more confidence in all these important areas of your proposal going after an opportunity.
What should you actually do during a site visit?
It's crazy to me how many of you guys are not actually paying attention. First off, you have to observe. You have to observe, you have to pay attention, you have to look for things and soak in as much as you possibly can because you're only there for a limited amount of time and you're not taking a video recorder, to record so you can replay a video recorder. That's not happening. So you have to pay attention and absorb and soak as much in during that site visit as you possibly can. Now, sometimes you are able to take photos. Okay, you have to ask because if it's a government base, sometimes it is a confidential issue where you cannot. It can be a security issue to take photos. So if photos are allowed, that's going to be something that is really beneficial for you to take back to the office, share with a team, whoever, right? Maybe you've got a PM or a subject matter expert at the office. It would be really beneficial for doing your proposal and your pricing to have photos. You also want to ask questions. When you ask questions, they may ask you to submit those in writing after the site visit, but invariably, contractors are always asking visits during the site to whoever is there. Typically, it's not contracting, it's typically the core, the contracting officer's representative that you're asking these questions to, and that they're fielding, those answers themselves or somebody else that they're going to get the answers from. You also want to kind of network with any attendees that are there on the site. So especially if you're coming as a prime and you're getting quotes from a sub or a potential teaming partner, there may be several of those, right? So you don't want to just get one quote or have one partner at this stage of the game. You want to get all quotes in order to determine and find the best partner for you. And you can do that by networking at the site visit. And also you want to just verify any things that you came in with assumptions about the contract. Like I said earlier about understanding the scope of work, you want to verify those. Are those true? Or maybe those were not as you thought that they were.
What if you can't attend the site visit yourself?
So if you're working with teaming partners, you can always have a teaming partner attend and sign in as your company's representative. Okay, they're going to represent your company. They put your company name down. The reason they do this is in case the site visit is mandatory, then that way your company still remains eligible to actually bid on the contract. Also, if you have a local employee, somebody who's maybe out of state, this project perhaps is, you can have them attend. You yourself as the owner, you do not have to be the one who's actually attending the site visit. If you have some other trusted representative, some people will even hire people. It's up to you if you want to go that route. But again, you can have any sort of representative on behalf of your company attend the site and visit of the project if it's that important. Now, if you cannot, and it's going to be something you're deciding whether or not you want to bid or no bid, you want to do an immediate debrief if there is a site visit and you can't attend it, because it may end up being that you don't want to quote it because maybe that site visit is so important and you're going to be missing out on that information. So that's also something that you want to consider.
Time for the halftime question, where we ask Derek one non-government contracting related question. What's one purchase you still use almost every day?
That's my watch. So it took me a while to find a watch like this, but really it's more than a watch. It's a pedometer. And I used to use, like an Apple Watch, and I've tried Fitbits, and just the notifications and the electronics, they weren't a fit for me. But this is just a standard watch that has a pedometer that resets the steps every night at midnight, and I can just track. And it's just a good reminder for me to stay active and keep walking. I love it.
What should you do immediately after a site visit?
So during the site visit, if we didn't mention it, you want to make sure you're also taking notes as part of, you're taking it all in and you're absorbing, right? Because we're not taking videos. So immediately after the site visit, you need to organize those notes and not just put them in a neat pile, organize them, but organize them in conjunction with your proposal plan, your pricing plan, and any sort of teaming approach you're using, that sort of plan, to make sure if there's any information that changes what the plan was going into the site visit, or if there's anything that's kind of changing that maybe now you need to submit RFIs to and get questions answered from contracting, now's the time to do it. You're not going to have a huge window after the site visit to submit those questions. So you want to make sure you're organizing your notes. Next, you also need to share the information with everybody who was not attending the site visit. So your team, whether teaming partners or your own employees, anybody who this is going to affect part of the pricing and proposal process, they need to have that information as well. And you don't want to waste time getting them that information. Typically, you want to create some sort of shared folder, shared drive, and give them access to that same day, pretty immediately. If there's any updates needed to your pricing, also, you want to make sure that you reflect those. And simultaneously with your proposal, if anything significant is going to change, you want to make sure that you're writing those alternate approaches or anything where you are getting answers back from your RFIs that's going to change your proposal. You're going to want to do that as quickly as possible too. They may not be pushing out that proposal due date. They may not, right? It depends. You can ask for it. But with this new information gauge from the site visit, you want to make sure that it's flowing to all the important areas as quickly as possible for these reasons.
What's the biggest mistake contractors make with site visits?
All right, so some of you guys, you just kind of show up, right? And you're not prepared. You want to make sure you're printing off at the very least the scope of work, the PWS, the statement of work with you to the site visit. That way, if you have questions, or I've had it where the Corps had questions and they didn't even have a copy of it with them, makes you look like the prepared contractor, right? It's a good reputation builder. You want to make sure that you're prepared and not just kind of showing up to the site visit and winging it. You don't want to do that. And if you're sending somebody, make sure that they're prepared, make sure they print this stuff off ahead of time as well. And kind of like what I said earlier, if you show up and you're not networking and you're not talking to the other companies, if you're not looking at the sign-in sheet to see who your potential competitors are going to be, that's a big mistake. That's a big part of opening your eyes at a site visit. And this is a big part of the information that you can gain even competitively as part of your competitive advantage as you're continuing to bid on this contract as well. If you don't validate any assumptions, again, if you're not coming in with a predetermined plan, a predetermined approach, and you're not challenging that, saying, hey, is this feasible? That's a mistake as well, because you're going to kind of just be going off the cuff without challenging it or being able to communicate that. And then lastly, if you just are not getting better at site visits and learning to employ and apply these different things that we're covering in a training like today, you should be getting more and more information when you attend site visits, not less and less, and not the same, because you should be getting better at these, because site visits really are a skill that you need to be building.
Should you attend every site visit?
No, you don't have to attend every site visit. Site visits are either mandatory or optional, as I said earlier. So if they are mandatory, right, there's a number of ways that you can do this without personally attending. But then your company itself doesn't always have to attend either. If they're optional, you don't always have to attend. One thing to consider is, what's the size of the contract, right? Like, is it going to be worth it due to the size? If it's really, really small, it may not be worth, right, investing that much into a site visit that's halfway across the country. Another thing is, how complex is it? Like, do we really need to see it in person? If it's just, doing a very, very basic, or say a very, very small square footage, just most basic thing, think of like grounds maintenance or pest control, cleaning, things like this. There's not too many parts and pieces and moving variables. And in those instances, like a picture could be enough, or a map or a drawing could be enough. So is it complex enough that we really need a site visit, or do we really have all the information that we need and we don't have to make that investment? Now, also, do we have to travel for the site visit, or is it in our backyard? That's also something that you want to consider and can make or break whether you ultimately attend the site visit or not for your company. And then also, if you're, I'd say if you're teaming, are you requiring them to go? Are you going? Are you going with them? These are some of the details that can affect if you are going to even attend a site visit that's optional or not. Now, guys, invariably, all this is going to come down to you submitting a compliant package of your proposal and your pricing. And if you're needing support or you wanting to next level your proposals with the government, consider my free modules that I have given to you guys as kind of a thank you for staying to the end of the video with GovRFP. You need a government proposal, get GovRFP. I've set the 3 modules free, and you can access those right now at my website, GovKidMethod.com. Just go to the GovRFP tab. All you need to enter is your email address, and you can start building your proposal and actually create a whole proposal outline with templates. That's the amount of value that I'm giving you absolutely for free inside of GovRFP. And if you do decide that you want the entire training, that's a decision you can make, but I do recommend beginners and even those who have bid before to try out GovRFP in terms of working on your next solicitation, maybe your next bid from sam.gov. GovRFP would be perfect for that. And now if you're ready to continue learning with the next training, I also just released a very, very important, crucial training around calling your teaming partners. And this can be one of the highest revenue generating activities and biggest investments that you can make in terms of the payoff of learning the skill of reaching out to teaming partners. So I'll go ahead and pull that video up on the screen here for you to check that out if you want to keep learning. If you guys are new to the channel, but you've recently subscribed maybe from this video, comment new down below. And if you've been part of the method, part of the GovKid method for a while, and you've been with us and part of our community, comment method down below as well, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us today. I hope you got something from today's training, and we'll go ahead and see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.